Welcome to Swing State University, a college golf and lifestyle podcast. I'm your host, James Boone. And joining us this week from Southern Illinois University, senior and finalist for the Haskins Award, Anthony Schutter. This episode of Swing State University is brought to you by 2-Putt Coffee. Success on the course starts with a solid routine, and 2-Putt Coffee is the fuel that keeps golfers focused and relaxed. Collegiate golfers interested in 2-Putt's newly launched ambassador program that includes exclusive product discounts, social media exposure, brand collaborations, and more can email hello@2puttcoffee.com with the subject line College Ambassador to find out more. And as a token of appreciation, Swing State University listeners can take 30% off their next order through 2puttcoffee.com using the code SwingStateU. That's SwingState and the letter U for 30% off any order of grade 1 single origin coffee and merch. Play relaxed and focus on what counts with 2-Putt Coffee. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back. Swing State University. We are on the precipice of the college golf season, and if you're listening at this point, a lot of teams are getting their season going in the spring of 2026. At Swing State University, this is our 10th episode, so we're in double-digit territory. If you've been following along from the beginning, shout out, you're a real one. And we probably have some sort of connection if you were following at that point. But anyone who's joined the journey at this point, salute. We respect that. Thank you for hopping along. And we hope in some way this podcast helps inform people of the landscape of college golf. We want to continue to grow that space and feel like there's a lot of growth to be had in that media space. For our 10th episode, I am super, super stoked for our guest today. I'm not even speaking from experience because I have no experience of what this feels like. Played golf at a D1 level, but I did not even sniff. I was nowhere close to winning a tournament. But from what I know, being around the game, winning a tournament at the Division I level, it's a hard thing to do. This fall, our guest, he didn't win one time. He didn't win 2 times. He won 3 times at the Division I level, going into high major programs, Kansas State, Wisconsin, Purdue, going into those arenas and winning 3 times this fall. Won 3 out of 4 events, and then 5th event went out to Hawaii. Had a great showing in a super stacked field. I believe there were 4 top 50 teams in the country out there. Had a great showing out in Hawaii to close out the fall. On the heels of that, got added to the Haskins Award watch list that recognizes the top 25 players in the country. We're just super stoked for his upcoming spring and what's to come in 2026. Ladies and gentlemen, we kick off our 10th show. We are so stoked to have on the show today. 5th-year senior from Southern Illinois University. Shout out to the Salukis. We have Anthony Schutter joining us live. Anthony, what's up, man? Thanks for hopping on.
How's it going? Thank you very much for having me. What an intro. Oh my God. Thank you very much.
Absolutely, man. We're so happy you're on. I laid out your fall season and, incredible accolades. You went into, 3 high major programs, went in and won their tournament. You're top 400 in WAGR right now, playing some of the best golf you've ever had in your entire life. But I know, there's a whole lot that goes into the outcome right now. I think you see someone on tour right now, one of my favorite players in Justin Rose. He's playing the best golf of his life. He's 45 years old. This is not something that it wasn't a flash in the pan. There was a trajectory, there was work, there was consistency, there was doing the same things over and over again to eventually get to this point. I feel like for you, and just knowing a little bit about your journey and from some of the stuff that we talked about before hopping on, this was a journey to get to this point. And so I would love to get into what the last, obviously, 5 years have looked like in your college journey. But even before that, can you talk about growing up in Belgium, reigning all the way from Brie, Belgium? Shout out. I would love to hear how you got introduced to the game of golf. And who are some people in your life that influenced you in that way?
No, yeah, definitely. It's been a very, very long journey. Obviously, like you said, I grew up in a very, very small town in Belgium. I grew up playing a lot of tennis. My mom's a tennis coach, and I feel like we're somewhat of a tennis family. Like everyone in my family is either playing tennis or is like doing coaching or whatever. So, and then by the time I was around like 10, 11, 12, my dad started taking me out to the golf course more and more. And that's kind of where I fell in love with the game. And around the time of, I guess, 11 or 12 years old, I went to my parents and I said, hey, I want to go play golf. I really love the game. I just want to spend all the time that I can being on the golf course. As a junior, played a lot, got into the national team, which I'm very proud of myself to be able to represent my country in that way. So that was really cool. And then by the time I was 16, whole dream of playing golf in college in America kind of rose. And that's something that I started thinking about. So by the time I was 17, 18, started the whole recruiting thing and ended up in Garden City, which is great. I was very blessed by Coach Turfshredder
Mhm.
get that opportunity. I didn't really have a lot of looks back then. It was also right after COVID, recruiting was obviously a little bit of a mess. All the players that are my age can relate to that, I think. So I went there, didn't know where I was going to end up in Southwest Kansas, middle of nowhere. Had a
Mhm.
very great 2 years, was able to work with Coach Terpstra, who honestly was an amazing coach. I loved him, got some good results, managed to win a couple of tournaments, and then did getting some looks by the time of my sophomore year by some D1 programs. Ended up going to Arkansas State, which was kind of a struggle for me. I got off to a start that wasn't very hot. I had to fight my way into the lineup. Sometimes that happened. Some more often it didn't. So yeah, that was kind of a struggle. And then by the end of that year, I figured out I was going to have to transfer if I wanted to keep pursuing my dream of becoming a professional golfer. And that's where SIU and Coach Fetcho came into the picture. It was not easy for me at that point to find another program. It was also late in the year, so there wasn't really a lot of schools that had spots open and stuff like that. But yeah, extremely blessed and extremely grateful to Coach Fetcho that I was able to come here. Had a very good senior year. It was great. Managed to get a couple of decent results. And then I figured out towards the end of the spring semester last year that I could potentially have a fifth year. And then obviously that was kind of a, hey, do I want to do this? Do I want to go back home, pursue my professional career? And I started thinking to myself, like, what do I need if I want to achieve my goals? And the relationship that I have with coach and the guys on the team is just so great. I feel like I have all the opportunities here to develop my game, and I get along so well with coach and with the guys. It's quite crazy. And to be honest, there was this little thing inside of me still thinking like, hey, I kind of want to win a D1 golf tournament.
Yeah.
It was like that was something that I've always dreamt of. Like even being in Garden City still, I wanted to, you were dreaming of going to a D1 program and hopefully win there. So all those things together made me come back for my last year, which is just halfway done now.
It was so funny to your point on getting the fifth year, and we'll start here and backtrack because there's about 4 million questions that I want to ask you based off of even that trajectory. But I saw an article where Coach Fetcho was like, "Yeah, like we're so happy. Anthony's going to be able to be here for a year. Brings a lot of experience." And then it ends up being not only 1 year but 2 years. How did you manage? Because what's crazy about this is like, had you not received that, last year, you don't have this fall, you don't have this like momentum heading into the spring. So
Exactly.
a dream of yours being able to win your first collegiate tournament at the D1 level. Like, can you explain where did that year manifest?
It was because of JUCO, actually. So the NCAA decided that all JUCO players got an extra year, which I obviously didn't know when I committed here at first. And then you think around, I have to lie now, but I think it's around February, March, coach starts talking to me about, hey, this might be a potential option for you and whatever. And honestly, at that time, I was like, nah, I'm done. I want to become a professional golfer. I did my 4 years, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I actually left. So I said goodbye to coach. I said goodbye to the teammates,
Oh,
like
wow.
everybody. I didn't think I was going to come back. And my dad came over because I was graduating. I walked everything. Like I was done with the whole college thing. And by the time I left, I started talking with my dad, who I'm really close with. Like, what if I go back and try to develop my game for another year? So yeah, that's kinda how it and then had some phone calls with coach, and he'd be like, "Yeah, we'd love to have you back for another year." I was like, "Yeah, I'd like to be back too, but this and that, I wanna pursue my professional career and everything." There were so many things going on in my head, like, what's the best thing for me to do at
Huh.
this point in my career? And had some good chats with my coach back home, the people around me that honestly helped me very, very, very well, and then my parents, obviously. And, yeah, then
Mhm.
ultimately, I think 2 weeks after I said goodbye to the whole SIU program, I decided to come back for another year.
I'm back.
Yeah, I'm back. I'm back. Y'all ain't done with me yet.
Yeah, no, run it back, run it back. And what's even crazy about that is like, you had grounds to make a case for saying, "Hey, after this year, my game's in a place to go pursue this," because it wasn't like what you thought was your last year. You were Missouri Valley Newcomer of the Year. You were, all conference, first team all conference. Like you had a great year. So like, you probably had a basis to be like, hey, no, like my game's in a good enough spot to pursue this. But ultimately, like hindsight is 2020. It does look like you made the right decision. And it's cool that there was probably a lot of like, thoughts spinning in your head of like, hey, did I make the right decision? Did I not make the right decision? But you have to look back and be like, oh, this really worked out.
Definitely, yeah, just to touch on that real quick, it was
Yeah.
like, I played pretty good golf. I got, like you said, newcomer of the year in the NBC. I was playing very good golf and got some very good results, but I feel like also thinking back of my whole college career at that point, I was like, going to America and playing college golf helped me in so many different ways. Just working with different coaches, working with Coach Fetcho, who I get along with very well, just course management wise, tactics wise, even maturing, like going all the way across the globe to live somewhere where you don't know anybody, you know. So all those things I needed even more than just development in my game is just developing as a human,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. And I felt like I learned so much by being here for 4 years in the United States and playing college golf and all the things that come with it. And I feel like at that point in time, I felt like coming back for another year to develop even more was the right decision to make.
That's so cool. It's so cool to reflect back. I mean, like,
Yes.
hey man, I have a lot of peace now knowing that made the right decision. That's really cool. I want to backtrack even further, going back to you being 12, 13 years old and saying, "Hey, mom, dad, family, I know you're a tennis family, but I have this, dream of playing golf."
Yeah.
Were they pretty supportive at the time?
Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely. I mean, I was playing a lot of tennis. Like my dream was always to be a tennis player when I was
Uh,
younger. And then I just fell in love with the game. I felt like golf was, what I liked so much and still like about golf is like nothing is ever the same. You can play the same golf course 100 times. It's never going to be the exact same. Like the wind's going to be different. The weather's going to be different. Like everything's going to be different. You're not going to hit the golf ball in the exact same spots. And as a kid, I liked that a lot more than being on the same tennis court. You know what I mean? Hitting the same type of shots. I know it's different too, obviously, but and yeah, I remember just going to my parents and saying, "Hey, I kind of want to pursue this golf thing," and they're like, "Okay, perfect. If that's what you love, you got to do what you love." And I'm really thankful to my parents for that. I mean, it wasn't
mhm.
obviously as deep as you like maybe said with like, "Oh, tennis family," and like I wasn't being
Good point.
pressured,
Yeah, good
but it
point.
was. I mean, yeah, it was made. I mean, as a young kid, you don't know how your parents are going to react, obviously, but they were extremely supportive. They were like, "We want you to do whatever you love," and at that
Mhm.
point, it was golf. So
Yeah, that's a good call out, and because the jump from, "Hey, guys, like, I don't wanna play tennis, I wanna play golf." It's not some High School Musical, like, it's not that deep. It is not that deep.
no, yeah, I mean, it wasn't like, it wasn't like I was like, what are they gonna say?" You know what I mean? Like, but yeah, immediately they were just like immediately they were just like, "Yeah, that's cool. If that's what you love, that's what you gotta go and do."
Obviously, your story is 1 in 1,000 of guys wanting to make the jump to go play collegiately stateside. With that being said, you were pretty entrenched in Belgium golf. Like, you were playing in those leagues, you were playing on the national team. You saw success, you won a big U18 tournament in
Yes.
Belgium whenever you were, about to go stateside and play collegiately. But why maybe you can give some commentary on why someone growing up in Belgium would wanna say, "Hey, I know I have a lot of exposure here in Belgium. Why would someone want to go play in the United States collegiately?"
That's a very good question. I feel like at that age of, like, 16, 17, I guess, you kinda are forced to take it more serious if you wanna
Yep.
pursue it, obviously, and if you wanna reach your goals, and then you start thinking like, "Hey, what do I need to do in order to, reach it to the PGA Tour eventually?" Or all those questions. If I wanna play in major championships one day, like, what are the things I gotta do? And then you start looking at all those options, like, am I gonna stay home? And then at that time, that was also the time where guys like Thomas Peters, Thomas Detry were obviously doing very well already on the professional tours, and then you had guys like Adrian Dumont-Chassar also at Illinois. Like, he was at Illinois at the time, and that's kinda where it's like, "Oh, all these great guys went there, so maybe I
Mm.
gotta look into that." And then you look into it, a lot of great players on the PGA Tour went to college, all that stuff, so that's kinda where the ID came from, I guess.
Yeah, being in an environment. Well, I guess what I'm fascinated by is maybe this is a silly question, but what is the makeup of golf at university in Belgium, Germany? Like, is that even a thing?
We don't have it. There is no
Mhm.
like, there is no way of playing golf in college back home. I mean, you gotta do it outside the school hours and outside of everything, and I mean, school by itself is already. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say you couldn't be bumming at your parents' house, not having a job and just playing golf all day. Like, that probably doesn't work out. It's like, hey, you probably gotta
No,
go to school.
no, and it's almost impossible to, combine school back home with any sport or whatever. You just have to put so much time into a sport if you wanna achieve, something great, I think,
Mhm.
and that combination back home is just not possible here. Everything's catered towards you, like, being a student athlete, and your whole schedule is made up around going to class, but then also being able to get the right amounts of practice in. And if you don't have something like a whole system that is catered towards that, I feel like it's just
Yep.
virtually impossible to say. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Getting the reps, getting the exposure, getting the tournament play. So you've seen people roadmap this before you. Thomas Peters, Thomas Dietrich, who go stateside, play collegiately, and now you see them having success on tour. Thomas Peters, because he's 6'4", 6'5", like super tall dude, he was someone that I always gravitated to. I remember whenever he finished, and we might have talked about this a long time ago, but whenever he top 10 at the PGA at Belle Reve up in St. Louis, because no one was really following him around, I was like, dude, this is a guy that he's taller. His swing is so pure. I followed him around, and it was so sick to watch him. You see a guy like him come stateside. Hey, this is the trajectory that I want to follow. Your journey led you to go play at a JUCO, and so maybe it wasn't all like you can have a dream, you can have an idea in your head, but your route to get where you are right now, and then eventually where you want to go in the future, it wasn't a straight line
Definitely not.
at all. Can you talk about your transition from playing in Belgium and then going to Garden City?
Yeah, it's definitely like the guys that came before me, they definitely did roadmap it and like put the idea in my head. But then I feel like obviously, like you said, it's not a straight line and a whole bunch of things come up. And you obviously dream, like I said, of playing at the D1 level. And there might be even a little bit of like, hey, am I still good enough to achieve my goals? When you have to go to a D1 program, there might be some, frustration, all those type of things.
Mhm.
But then, yeah, I felt like I always kept that confidence of thinking, I really think I'm good enough to do this. And I really think I'm good enough to achieve my goals. And yeah, just played at Guard and it went really well. Yeah.
Can you talk about your recruiting process to end up at Garden? So what did conversations with coach look like? How'd you end up there in the first place?
So I went through a recruiting company, obviously, which is what a lot of people back home do. Since obviously, as an international, it's a bit harder to get exposure because you don't play like the HAGA events like the kids in America do. So yeah, went through then. COVID obviously was very tough. I did not have a lot of Division 1 looks, none at all actually. So I was talking to a couple of D2, D3 go programs and hopped on a call with coach, and I immediately really liked what he was about, liked the things he was saying, and then just ended up there. It wasn't really
Mhm.
very big, like, hey, I'm talking to like 20 schools, you know what I mean? I
Mhm.
got to make a decision. It was just a couple of programs, and honestly, just the things I was talking about with coach and the way he approached the game of golf was kind of what pulled me in and
Mhm.
look back afterwards.
Before we hopped on the show, you were talking a lot about, coach like at Garden City, his influence on you, his encouragement, what he's meant to your career.
Yes,
That being said, moving from your hometown to a relatively small town in Garden City in Kansas, we were talking off air about, how long it took for you to get to tournaments and stuff. Can you talk a little bit about some of the culture shock and getting adjusted to being in America? Like, what did that adjustment look like for
it,
you from a golf standpoint and then socially?
it was a tremendous culture shock, to say the
Yeah.
least.
Yeah, yeah.
Was, yeah, like I said, when we had to travel to a tournament, it was when you left Garden City, you didn't see nothing for 3 or 4 hours straight when you were sitting in that van,
Mhm.
and like I said, I feel like coach was just a great guy. I feel like he did everything he could to help us out, to make us feel good. If we needed anything, we could always reach out to him. He was just great support, just in every step of the way as a student, as a golf player, most important of all, I think, as a human being, and yeah, I still call him at least
Mhm.
once a month. We have a very great relationship. He came and watched a couple of tournaments. So yeah, yeah, he's been extremely great for me in my career up until this point.
That's special, and probably also an advocate, just knowing, hey, that the guys on his team, he's trying to do the best possible job that he can to get them to the next level, you
Definitely.
know, being an advocate for you. So, hey, 2 years at Garden City, you're an All-American, JUCO All-American, and you start to get looks from D1s. What was that adjustment like from going to Garden City to Arkansas State? So I imagine not to get too far ahead, and this, you have your own story to tell, but I've seen just from spending a little time in coaching of like guys leveling up. So going to the D1 level, whether you're playing at an NAIA school, D2, JUCO, you go to the D1 level, and you may be one of the best players in the nation, but there's an adjustment period. There's a learning curve to say, hey, do I really belong here? What was that experience like for you?
Definitely. It was a whole experience. So starting towards the end of my career in Garden City, that's obviously when you get some good results and then all of a sudden some D1 programs are starting to look at you. You start to go on a couple of visits. And then obviously the recruiting process is a lot different than what it was before I went to the US, because now there's these D1 programs that you always dreamed of playing for
Mhm.
are now looking into you, asking you if you could hop on a phone call with them, even inviting you on visits, all that stuff. Yeah, at the time I was obviously very pleased with that. I really wanted to go to that D1 level. So yeah, I went on a couple of visits and then ultimately ended deciding to go to Arkansas State. which that's actually a very good point that you brought up, the adjustment period, which is something I don't really, give myself leniency for
Yeah.
enough, maybe looking back on it. That's not something I always think of. But yeah, it was tough. I mean, I didn't really play. I maybe had some trouble adapting. I don't know what it was. Maybe there was a sense of, hey, I'm finally playing in the bigger league, you know what I mean? And maybe at the time I just wasn't ready for it yet, if that makes sense. But yeah, obviously the results weren't what I wanted them to be at that time, which was frustrating. It came with a lot of, negativity and maybe just some periods where I was a little unhappy and sad, or I don't wanna say depressed, but just like,
No, yeah.
just a little less comfortable having to sit out when your buddies are going to play a cool tournament somewhere and stuff like that, which is rough. It's something that's not talked about a lot. Every team deals with it, every sport deals with it, guys that have to
Mhm.
sit home. And yeah, it was tough. But then looking back on it, I felt like going back to the maturity thing, I feel like that is something that at the time was extremely uncomfortable and not nice at all, but that also helped me in a way to deal with situations because that's something I've never had before. Like you said, I
Yeah.
as a junior, I played in a national team, and then I went to Garden City where
Mm.
I played every event, and all of a sudden you come in an environment where the coach sometimes says, "Hey, man, you're not making it to the next event," and that was tough. That was something I had never dealt with before,
Mm.
and it was definitely a rough period in my life.
There's, I think another factor that plays into that is you're no longer playing as free, but now you're more concerned about, "Hey, am I gonna make it to the next tournament?"
Definitely.
Once you do get your spot, once you do get your bag, it's like, "Okay, what can I do to maintain this? I don't wanna screw this up. This is my opportunity." And if I'm, sitting at home in Jonesboro, Arkansas, and I'm not playing in these tournaments, yeah, they're cool tournaments, but at the same time, my dream is to play professionally. So I'm not getting those reps. I'm not getting that exposure. That's
Definitely.
hard.
And there's a lot of doubt that comes into it too, you know what I mean? Like, if your teammates who are obviously very good players, like the guys that are still there, there are still some guys there that I used to be on the team
Great
with. There's
program.
guys there definitely, they're doing some great things. You start to think about yourself as, "Hey, maybe I'm not good enough to achieve my goals," and look at all these guys are getting better results, and like you said, being a 4, 5, 6 bag is just not very nice because you have to fight for your place every single day, even at practice. You feel like when you have a bad practice, you're like, "Damn, maybe coach saw that and
Yeah, yeah.
thinks I'm not ready for the opportunity," stuff like that. So all these thoughts come creeping into your mind, which is not very nice as a player, but that I can only imagine that's something that you deal with on the professional level too when you miss a couple of cuts or stuff like that. But I can definitely tell that being a one bag or something that like someone that would play in the lineup a bit more comfortably is a lot nicer of a position to be in for sure.
You're not looking over your shoulder. You know that
Exactly.
you're in good graces with, with coach and, he'll ride with you for sure. There's some freedom there. So, hey, probably for the first time in your life, there's a that's also dramatic too because we know there's ups and downs with life all over the
Yep.
place. But maybe, hey, this is for the first time in your golf career, like things aren't going the way that you want. And now you look at yourself at this point, starting to see some success. Can you talk about building back your confidence from having a year where it's like, hey, I didn't have my best stuff. I didn't, you even said this, I didn't feel like I was ready. End up transferring to SIU, get connected with Coach Fecho. Where did your confidence begin to come back for your game?
That was very tough to
Mhm.
regain all that confidence.
Yeah.
I left Arkansas State actually thinking I was gonna come back for my senior year,
Okay.
which then eventually I was informed that I was not gonna come back, I guess a month after I left, and like I already mentioned before we hopped on here, is I didn't have a lot of time to find a new program, so that was obviously also something that a lot of doubts come in, and then I'm
Wow.
I was very blessed, and like I said, I am extremely grateful to Coach Fecho for the opportunity that I got. Because again, it was a much more Garden City recruitment process-like feeling
Mhm.
because all of a sudden, hey, those coaches are looking at you and they're like, "Hey, this guy is not performing well and he barely played." You know what I mean? So is he even good enough for the D1 level? And then coach, I guess, took a little bit of a leap of faith.
Wow.
And then I went back over the summer, played some events, and I played fine. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? But then you also start thinking to yourself, and that's something that I am doing very well now, which I wasn't doing well 2 years ago. You start thinking to yourself, well, I'm working on the right things. I am,
Mhm.
dedicated. I am preparing in the right way. And I kind of stopped judging myself purely based on results. Shooting around a 78 doesn't make me a worse guy. And shooting around a 66 doesn't make me a better guy either. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? I am still the same guy when I step off the course than I was 5 hours ago, no matter what I did. As
Mhm.
long as I can step off the course and tell myself, hey, I was prepared. I made all the right decisions that I could make at the time, and all the shot choices that I made, I performed with 100% confidence.
Yeah.
Then, I mean, there's nothing I could do about it. You know, sometimes you
Mhm.
just go out and play very well, and sometimes it's just that day just isn't for you. So,
Mhm.
and that kind of helped me. And then obviously getting good results definitely helps with confidence too. Like you can tell yourself all those things, but if you play bad, like being confident is very tough. But
Mhm.
yeah,
Was there anyone for you that instilled some of those values of being more process driven instead of results focused? Was there anyone obviously, like, I've seen your swing, like, it's pure, it's super tight, compact. I
yeah.
know that there's a lot of work that goes into, refining your swing, but was there anyone that was instrumental for you to start thinking more like that?
I think the most important people for me in that way were my coach back home, my swing coach, who I've been working with ever since I started playing golf, and then my dad, obviously. I
Mhm.
mean, I felt like from the people that are in my team that are surrounding me, I felt like I've always gotten that confidence. They were always like, "Hey, we believe in you. We think you could do this. We think you're a great player," all those things. And yeah, I feel like I'm very eager to learn on the mental side. So you do some research about all those things and you come across, like it's not that, you know, important what you shoot, you know what I mean? It is
Yeah.
important, obviously, because that's the sole thing that a player, like, gets judged on, but as an athlete, it's so easy to get caught up in results and come off the course with after a bad round and be like, "Oh, I'm an awful person, and you know what I mean? I'm not doing well and whatever. I gotta do all these things." And it's also, on the other end, very easy to be like, "Hey, I shot 66. I'm the man now." You know what I mean? And it's just
Yeah.
that both of those are very dangerous. I feel like there's
Oh,
this
that's good.
great quote that Matt Besar, who actually went here, and the guys still talk about him a lot, he always used to say, "You're never as bad as you think you are, and you're never as good as you think you are." And I think that's
Mhm.
a very, very powerful thing to keep in the back of your mind at
Mhm.
all times.
I think this is like kind of a silly quote in comparison to that, but I think of the Max Homa quote on I think he tweeted a month or 2 ago, but it's like the, you know, the average golfer is an irrational lad or whatever. It's like he's one shot away from thinking he could go win
I
at
saw
Augusta
that
or
too.
whatever. Yeah. There's that piece, and then there's also kinda like you said, it's, hey, if you go out and play bad, there's a understanding of you don't have to punish yourself by going out and hitting 10,000 balls the next day.
Exactly.
Is being like, "Oh, what's my process? I'm gonna go ahead and stick to that." And the same is true if you go like you said, if you go shoot 66, the next day I'm going to do the same thing that I did the day before that. It doesn't mean that I take a week off because like, I know I'm in a good spot or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah, just being faithful to your practice plan, your routines, and then just you can wipe your hands saying, "Whatever happens, happens." That's so good.
Definitely, and it's also not that you step out in course and like, "Oh, whatever, we'll see what it is today." Like, obviously, you go out there and you try to shoot the lowest score that you have, but sometimes there's just day where the lowest score in the cards for you that day might be just a 72, and there might be a day where some putts drop and you hit some better shots and it's a 66 or a 65 or whatever you
Mhm.
wanna call it. You just can't
Yeah.
always control it, if that makes sense.
Speak for yourself on the 65, 66, especially right now. Hey, yeah, yeah, keep playing golf as long as you possibly can. That's my only encouragement.
Definitely.
Golly, that's so good. So, hey, at SIU, Coach Fetchos takes a chance on you. There's that in between time of you being like, dude, am I even going to be on a roster next year? Coach Fetchos takes a chance on you. You start playing better golf this past year, 2024, 2025 season. Can you talk about your first season at SIU and, things that went well? You obviously got your confidence back, but, what led to some of those better results in 2024, 2025?
Coach.
Yeah. Okay.
He does things in a way that work out really well for me from a course management standpoint, from a, "Hey, what do I need to think about when I'm on the course?" Those
Mm,
things really help me. Those are also things that I decided for myself that I was gonna really buy into and really be dedicated towards. And yeah, just being disciplined on the course, stuff like that.
mhm.
Those are probably the most important,
Yeah.
like, parts of me getting the results that I did last year.
Yeah. Well, newcomer of the year, first team all MVC. You go home. I guess presumably you go home for the summer, just like looking at some of your results and stuff. You
Yes.
go you go home for the summer. Towards the end of the summer, you win the Dutch Am. So a really
Yes.
big event closer to home. You come back to Carbondale, and then you obviously have the fall that you did. Do you feel like that event at the Dutch Am contributed to you to playing well immediately out of the gate
Oh,
this
yes.
fall? Okay.
That was, like, insane. So going back just a little bit, over that summer, I got the opportunity to work with Ping, and 2 weeks before the Dutch Am, I got to go to England, get fitted, got my whole new set and everything, which was very exciting for me as a player to be able to work with them, and the Dutch Am was the first tournament I played with those clubs, and I think there was maybe a little sense of, "Hey, we'll see," they're new, I don't really, what I mean?
Hmm.
There's just a little bit more acceptance in bad shots, if that makes sense. And yeah, you play that first round. I have to lie about what I shot exactly, but I think it was a 6 under the first round. Obviously, that was That was very good. Second round, I go out, shoot a 4 under, and then I don't know if we have to cut this out, but me and my best friend, we are huge Drake fans, and there was a Drake
OVO.
concert. There was a Drake concert
Oh,
in Antwerp that Friday night. But we already decided this like 6 months ahead, obviously, because you got to buy the tickets or whatever.
you didn't know
And
you were going to be 10 under after 2 rounds.
exactly, exactly. And so even before the tournament, I was like, should I even play? Because I'm going to this concert. I promised my best friend, and I would love to go, and I'm also going back to the US. Like,
Yeah.
but I decided to play it. So I end up going to that concert. I come back on that Saturday and I shoot level par, and I'm like, damn, did I just blow it? But I felt like I played good golf. Like I said, I played good, and it just, the
Yeah.
putts didn't drop that day. It was whatever it was. And then the last day, my coach came out. A lot of my friends came out because the tournament was only, I think, 35 minutes away from my home. My dad was on the bag the whole week, which was very nice. A lot of people came out to watch, which was beautiful. And then I ended up, yeah, shooting a bogey-free 7 under to win by 1 on the last day, which was amazing. Yeah,
Worth it. Worth it.
definitely. That was probably one of the better weeks of my life so far.
Oh
Yes.
my gosh. That is so sick.
And then obviously I go back to Carbondale, and I played in the qualifying school for the European Tour in Belgium. So I end up coming here for a week, practicing, playing one qualifying round, and then I went back to Belgium to play qualifying school. That didn't really go as planned. I didn't play well in the first round. It was also, flying here, flying back. It was a whole thing, but I felt like I wanted to give it a go at least. Didn't work out very well. And then going into that first tournament in Kansas State, I played it quite a bit as a freshman and a junior at Garden City for our conference tournament, if I remember correctly, and I never played well there. It didn't like the course. I didn't like the way it fit in my eye. So I already anticipated kind of like having to grind it out, if that makes sense. And I remember on the putting green, probably about 10 minutes before I teed it up on the first round, I went to coach and I'm like, hey, I know I struggled here in the past. I know I'm probably going to have to grind some scores out, but the one thing I want to do so well this week is just being disciplined, being dedicated towards our course prep, all those things, and whatever score comes with it will come with it. But I just want to make sure that I step off the course and be the most disciplined guy out there, hit the shots in the spots that I need to hit them in, if that makes sense, and not
Yeah.
try to, rip a driver wherever it's not a driver, all those things. Like that's just a silly example.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then obviously got away with the win there, which is very nice.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Which is the monkey off your back. Obviously, the whole reason of you going over to pursue this in the first place was, to get more reps in, for you to be in a position to play professionally. But one of those big milestones for you was winning your first D1 tournament.
Definitely. With the confidence part that we talked about, like that also rolls into having a lot more confidence. That's something that I talked with Coach Fetcha about quite a bit. He always said like, hey, honestly, even in your first year here, I believe that you were good enough and you had the game to go out and win a couple tournaments. But I felt like after Kansas State, you actually started believing it yourself, if that makes sense. And I felt like there might be a lot of truth in that. I was just talking with my teammates about it too. I feel like there's this belief that you have to be almost perfect if you want to win a golf tournament. But I feel like it's so much more important to have your A game mentally and not necessarily physically. Everybody is going to hit some bad shots. Everybody is going to miss a couple putts. And you feel like, hey, if I don't roll all those putts in, or if I don't stiff it from 150 every single time, I'm not going to be able to have a chance to win this golf tournament. But that is so not true. And that was the biggest reckoning that I've had after that Kansas State tournament. So, yeah.
I don't remember the podcast, and I don't even think it's a golf podcast. I think it was a couple of lads from I guess Ireland, honestly, Northern Ireland, wherever. Though Rory was on one of their podcasts, and they were talking about the back nine at Augusta, and obviously like he dumps one in the water. I guess it's on 12 or 13 or something like that. And he was like, what was going through your mind? He's like, I was nervous as hell.
Yes.
I was thinking about winning the Masters and like what that would mean for my career and things like that, which was really cool to get that kind of vulnerability out of him and saying like these were some thoughts that I was battling. And he's one of the best in the world, obviously. But like for you, same thing, to be able to, presumably heading into the final round, you probably had some of those thoughts and feelings of like, yo, I'm about to do this, but being
Definitely.
able to manage them and get through and do it. And now you have that Rolodex of skills to say, hey, I went and won it, at this level. Obviously, that confidence rolls over into Wisconsin and then at camp and at Purdue's tournament.
Which for me was the nicest one, I think. I feel like I got that question a couple of weeks ago, like which one was your best one or whatever. And obviously, Kansas State is one that's obviously going to stick with me for the rest of my life since it was the first one. But I remember coming off the green on 18 at Purdue and immediately calling my dad, and I was so happy since that was a course that I played last year. It's an extremely tough course for the people who played
Mhm.
it, like, it is
Mhm.
extremely tough, and there's this, par 3, hole 17, flag was tucked on the right with water all the way on the right. Left, there's bunkers, whatever. It's an extremely tough hole, and then 18 is a very demanding tee shot and a very demanding second shot too, and I remember walking up the fairway on 18 thinking, "Oh my god, all I gotta do is hit this green. All I gotta do is hit this green." You know, there's so many thoughts racing through your head, and it's like, all I need is one more good shot, one more good shot, and it's yeah, there's a lot of different thoughts that come into that, and obviously,
Mhm.
that's not even close to, the level of Rory obviously winning
Yeah,
winning a
sure.
Masters championship, but yeah.
It makes me excited for your spring. What are some tournaments that you're excited about playing upcoming spring?
Puerto Rico,
Come on. Yeah, first tournament of the year.
I'm excited for that one. It's a
Okay.
place I've never been before. It's kinda similar, I guess, to being able to get the opportunity to go play in Hawaii, like, such a beautiful place. You obviously gotta enjoy it. And also, I'm very excited just because I haven't played a golf tournament in 3,
Yeah.
4 months, whatever, just to be able to go out and be competitive again is something that I like. I'm a very competitive person. If I go bowling with my friends, if I go do whatever, if I hop on my
Mhm.
PlayStation and play a
Mhm.
game, I play to win. So just being able to get that competitiveness back is something that I really look forward to and I'm very excited for. And then obviously there is great tournaments like, Florida State that we will play, which our
Yeah,
head coach
Seminole.
actually used to be an
Yeah.
assistant coach there for a while, so he knows the course. I heard it's a very tough course, it's a very demanding course, so that's obviously something I really look forward to. I really like the challenge, like, not a course where birdies come very easy, you really have to work from. And then something big on the list is obviously the Embassy Championship and hopefully anything that comes after that.
2 questions before we head into the Swing State Six Pack. Favorite Drake song right now?
Favorite Drake song? Oh my god. That's a very good question. I have to go with "Do Not Disturb." I
Mhm.
like that song so much.
Yeah. What was it like seeing him live?
It was great. It was great. Like I said, me and my best friend back home, we're huge fans. So yeah, it was great. I don't really go to a lot of concerts very often. I feel like that's something I wanna do only with artists that I really like and that I know a lot of the songs of. Like, I wanna be able to stand there and sing along and jump and whatever, all that. And I feel like if I go to see an artist, I only know 5 out of the 25 songs that they're doing, I'm kinda missing the point, you know what I mean? I'd rather give that seat to someone that would actually lose their mind too, you know what I mean? 'Cause I love music, there's so many great artists out there, but when I go, I wanna be able to, you know.
That's a great segue to my next question, but before I even say that, a good barometer for, where your golf game is going to your favorite artist's concert the night before you play in a tournament and seeing what you shoot. That would be a great barometer to be like, "Hey, my game's in a good spot." Like,
I said something that's gonna backfire so hard. But, I mean, it worked out. It was great. It was the best experience, like, being able I obviously, like, some other aspect to coming here is obviously not being able to spend a lot of time with your friends, and I feel like that is something very important for me is what I learned the last 2 years too, is how important it is for me to feel good outside of the golf course and be able
mhm,
to spend some time with my friends and family and, feeling love from the people around me.
absolutely.
I feel like that is something that just, fuels me and makes me feel a lot of love, and I'm not saying go to a concert the night before you have to go into
Yeah,
the weekend or
yeah,
go out and do anything, but just I mean, for me at the time, it was like, "Hey, I gotta go back home back to the US in what, a week and a half from now. I don't wanna give in on quality time with my friends and my family
mhm.
right at this second," if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's
If
something you
that was the best decision purely from a performance standpoint, we could argue that,
yeah,
but
sure. It worked out anyway, so yeah, you're an outlier. But, though that's a good segue into the next question, talking about, I've seen you post a few things about this, but do you make music?
I do.
A little bit? Okay, yeah, I
I
saw
do.
that. That's awesome. Yeah, you don't
Have you
have
listened?
I haven't listened to any of it yet.
Come on, man.
Yeah, yeah. I know it's like it's not beats, but it's kinda like dance music. Yeah?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
so
okay.
I mean, if you like, just real quick, I used
Yeah,
to
plug
s
it.
I mean, I make beats still a lot, but
Mhm,
it's just so tough to work with all those artists or whatever, like,
mhm.
it's gotta fit in their schedule and all this stuff, but that's what I like doing the most, but then there was a point where I felt like it was so draining to keep contacting all these artists and being like, "Hey," all that type of stuff, so I
Yeah.
just started making this more dance music where I could just grab vocals online or contact, like, some people on um, yeah, just online platforms where I
Mhm.
get a vocal off of them and just do my own thing with it and upload it whenever I want. It's just a hobby. I don't really wanna go anywhere with it, but it's something that I started doing when I was very young. I was like 12, 13, and I just really enjoy music, making music, listening to music, all everything.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and the skill you have in your back pocket. Not that you will ever need it at any point, but it's cool that you're able to like, cut up beats and produce. Like that's
No, yeah,
really cool
definitely. It's
skill.
fun. It's just something that I do in my free time that calms me down. That just
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Man, dude, that's so cool.
Let me know what you think.
No, I'll let you know. I'll work out to it next time I work out.
Perfect.
What is it just Anthony with an X?
Exactly. An
Okay.
X instead of the O. Yep.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep, like that.
I didn't think we were gonna go there today, but I guess.
This is where we are. Well, cool. Hey, let's go to the next pack and then we'll get off of here and go to sleep. Or maybe you have to write a paper. I know I will not be up too much longer after this.
No, I
But
don't have a lot of schoolwork. I try to stay ahead. Coach, I hope you're listening. I hope you're hearing this. He'll be like, he's behind his phone or computer screen right now. He's such a liar. He's such a
we know you're out there, coach.
liar.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are joined with Anthony Schutter, fifth-year senior from SIU, the Salukis up in Carbondale, Illinois. So thankful for him hopping on. We're going to close out with another rendition of the Swing State six-pack. Anthony, are you ready to go?
I am more than ready.
Let's go. Let's go. All right, Anthony, favorite course you've ever played?
Whistling Straits.
Whistling Straits. Question number 2, favorite course you've never played?
Augusta.
Augusta National. What's the second favorite course you've never played?
St. Andrews.
Let's go dream foursome. So 4 guys, or 3 guys, not 4 guys, 3 guys that you'd want to play with.
Me, my dad, Tiger, and Rory. I feel like I'm giving the most basic answers ever.
We have so much time to diversify your portfolios. They are basic for a reason because that's the right answer. It's only the right answer.
That's what I think.
Yeah, that's right. Let's go Tiger, Rory in your dream foursome, whatever. Who's your favorite player on tour right now?
Rory.
Rory,
Has
okay.
always been.
Yeah. What about favorite player from Belgium?
Thomas Peters.
Kind of growing up in that scene in circuit. Have you had many interactions with guys like that?
Yeah, I actually caddied for Detry once at like a charity event at my home club.
Okay.
Where he was playing with Thomas Peters. And then actually funny, I think it was about a month ago, maybe a month and a half ago, I was back home over winter and 6 guys that play on the national team got invited by Thomas to go on a little clinic type thing. So we went and we played 18 holes. We got a little clinic from his caddy. And then stayed the night. In the morning, we did a workout with his physical coach. We had a mental clinic with him, and we were able to talk to him, ask him a lot of questions. And then in the afternoon, we just hung out. He has this sick area with like a pool table and everything with a TrackMan in it. So we were just messing around a little bit, So it was really fun. It was great to spend time with him, like to spend time with guys like that have done things that I aspire to do one day. So yeah, it was great to be around those.
Some of this stuff you probably already were aware of or knew, but did you pick up anything from your time with him?
It was very funny because he obviously was at Illinois when Coach Fetcher was an assistant there. So that's kind of how we started the conversation. I mean, I knew him from before a little bit, but it was just like small chats, like, hey, how's it going? All that stuff.
Sure.
And that's how the conversation started. And then he gave me some great advice on like college golf, everything I wanted to pursue after. I mean, I have his phone number. He always said I could reach out if I needed anything, which is great. All
right. So next question, what's his phone number? I'm just kidding. All right. Question number 5, favorite club in your bag?
Putter.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
That's
awesome.
not something I would have said a couple months ago, but definitely putter.
The putter for now.
Yes.
What putter do you roll right now?
I roll a Ping Answer. Beautiful. I've always been a big fan of just like the more simplistic, natural look, not too much going on. And when I set it up, I just am in love with it every single time I set it up in front of the golf balls. I feel like that already helps in trying to roll in a couple of putts.
Yeah. Shout out to the guys at Ping.
Definitely.
For sure.
Big shout out.
Big shout out. All right. So, hey, last question we got here. Question number 6. So obviously, bro, you just won. We'll even include the Dutch Am as well. Like four of your last 6 tournaments that you've played in, you've won. So this is something that you're used to at this point. Next, next tournament that you win, what are you doing to celebrate? Are you going to a Drake concert?
I wish.
Where are you going out to eat? What does that look like for you next tournament you win? Where would you go celebrate?
Definitely not Chipotle.
I'm glad you said that actually, because
yes.
It's
I heard a lot of guys that came on said Chipotle, and I feel like that's just a all-time favorite of every college golf player ever, and I'm sick of it. Can we like start something of like don't go to Chipotle after a round? Can we say, hey, shout out to Chipotle, but for me it's Freddy's.
Wow, Freddy's steak burgers.
It's not. Yeah. Yes.
Man, that's cool.
Give me some Freddy's after a round, please. Yes. It ain't even close.
Man,
It's like it's Freddy's up here, and then there's a whole lot of
wow.
nothing, and then it's everything else.
Okay, so you came stateside and you had Freddy's for the first time, and you were like,
This is it.
I've
This is
peaked.
it. Yeah, it's a weird. Yeah, I probably don't have a lot of people that are behind their screen right now and thinking yes, yes. But I just love it. I mean, I don't know what it is. I love Freddy's. Yeah, shout out to Freddy's, man.
Shout out to Freddy's. If there's anyone at corporate Freddy's that's into
Hit
golf,
me up. Hit me
I
up.
got a guy.
Hit me up.
I got a guy
No, I
for you.
like. You know what it is? I don't mind Chipotle. It's just like we go there every single tournament, which is something very relatable, I think, for a lot of college golf players.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a bit too much, if that makes sense.
That's some college golf core right there, Chipotle.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Dude, Swing State six pack. This was so much fun. Anthony, thank you so much for hopping on. We from Swing State University are wishing you the best this spring and are
Thanks so
just
much.
really excited to follow your journey over the next, 4 months, but then also beyond. So we're pulling for you, bro. Thanks for hopping on.
Thank you for having me. Really appreciate it.